why am I not using this in my beatboxing?
That is very inspirational. Something about your anatomy will just attract you to certain sounds. What's easier, singing or beatboxing?
You find out that the higher level stuff, nobody's teaching it, but it took me 2 years to learn it.
Do you think that something that every beatboxer has in common is a good ear? What advice would you give to people that want to start?
Don't do what I did, so I quit, which is so weird because I wish I knew this when I was younger.
Hello, I am here with the world famous legendary beatboxer, Stitch.
Hello. How?
Why did you start beatboxing?
I was at a carnival at my sister's high school, and there was a very OG beatboxer from Malaysia performing at that time, and his name is Coex, and he did this beat, which currently is like a very basic beat, but back then it was like world class, and it was something along the lines of and I was like, oh, that was like the most mind-blowing thing I ever heard.
I can understand why.
So I went back home and I tried it and I instantly got it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can do this thingy, whatever you call it.
You instantly got that?
Yeah.
All of those sounds, and
Yeah.
you understood them in the sequence and everything?
Yeah, which is pretty mind-blowing because I was never good at anything until that moment. So at that moment I was like, okay, maybe beatboxing is the thing.
Yeah.
So I'm here now. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So do you play any other instruments, or do you just not need them?
Guitar, drums and piano. But I would say my best instrument is the piano and then the guitar. I haven't played drums since I was like in middle school, so it's been a very long time.
Yeah, well, I suppose you just sort of would have let that pass as your voice took over the beat part of your musical creation. What is your favourite sound that you can make?
My favourite sound is the poly sound. It's the polyphonic voice. It defines my style. It's like, I think, one of the most versatile sounds or vocal techniques in the world. My favourite.
And how did you figure out you could do that?
Oh, it's a pretty funny story. I'm Christian, so I go to church, and in every church there's always a choir, a bunch of people singing different lines of harmonies at the same time. And as a kid, I was like, okay, what if one person could do those harmonies together? And after I was like 6, 7, or 8, and I would like this experiment. And then one day I just got a, and I was like, oh, okay.
It just fell out?
Yeah, it took some time. I think like I thought about it like, when I was like 6 or 7. Then like 2 or 3 years later, I just got it, and I was like, oh my gosh! I just sang like 2 people at once, and then I've been practicing for like ever since then till today. I'm still trying to like find new ways to use this sound and make it better, new variations, etc. But yeah, that's how it started.
That's incredible. So had you ever heard anyone else do that before?
Outside of the beatbox community, no. Because when I first used it, learned it, I used it as like a method to scare people, like especially all of my friends, like, and then I remember I started beatboxing in 2017, and there was this legendary battle somewhere around that time, I can't remember, 2018, 2019 or something, between a beatboxer named Alexinho, who is here today, and a guy named 2H from South Korea. And 2H just did the poly, but his one is like a more tight version. And he just did just want to vibrate. He said that, and the whole crowd went nuts. And I remember sitting at home, I was behind my laptop, and I was like,
wait, what?
I can do that. Why are they going nuts? And then it occurred to me, I was like, why am I not using this in my beatboxing? Right? Because
okay.
I could do it way before I started beatboxing. I just never used it until I saw him do it, and I was like, why didn't I think of that?
Maybe this is actually a world-class vocal skill.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I started using it, and it took some time to find my own way of using it. But yeah, we're here now.
That's so interesting because it came so naturally to you. You just probably assumed that it wasn't remarkable when in fact it is.
Yeah, I thought
the
it was
most remarkable thing.
Yeah, I thought it was just some kind of small party trick. I didn't think it was going to be something like completely mind-blowing.
That is very inspirational. I think a lot of people could probably learn from that. Things that they do that they just think is unique but perhaps not significant because it comes naturally to them. Maybe that is their secret to being the best.
Yeah, a lot of the beatboxers here, even the world-class beatboxers, like they have crazy sounds, crazy techniques. And when you ask them like, oh, how do you do it? A lot of them reply something along the lines of, oh, I don't know, I just do. Like there's this one sound that I can do. It's one of the most basic sounds in beatboxing. when you first learn how to beatbox, you learn drums, and you learn something called throat bass, which is a Mongolian monks would use. I think you know about it,
Yeah.
right? This is a variation of a bass using your throat. Ow, ow. But throat bass sounds completely different, and I can't do it. And there's a beatboxer named Wing from South Korea, one of my favorite beatboxers in the world. Love that guy, and he's one of the best in the world when it comes to that sound.
Wow.
And I was like asking him, bro, how do you do it? And then he had the same thing he said the same thing I said to you about Polly.
That's so fascinating.
He was like, oh, I saw this guy named Dave Crow doing some busking on the streets of New York or UK or something. And he was like, oh, that's a cool sound, let me try it. Ow, ow. And he got it, just like that. In like 1 second, I'm like, you just listened and you did it. And he was like, yeah, I just did it. I don't know how I just did it. And I'm like,
Fascinating.
most of the beatboxers here have this thing, like, how did you do that whistle? I don't know, I just woke up one day and
That's it.
and I got it. And I'm like, you know.
Yeah, something about your anatomy will just attract you to
Exactly.
certain sounds and maybe make it much harder to others.
Exactly.
But maybe that is the most exciting thing about it, is you don't have to do everything, but what you can naturally do, what you're drawn to, is something that you should really use and capitalize on as your identity.
Yeah, we have this saying like, because like when you first start beatboxing, you would try to learn every sound,
Yeah.
every whistle, every like cool, crazy alien bass.
Yeah.
Right, but then once you get to a certain level, like there's a saying, limit yourself, and then from that limited box, expand from that.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't need a lot of moves. Like even in like sports, there's a lot of ways to maneuver around your opponents. You just have 5 moves, and then you just play around with that.
And do them
Game
really
over,
well.
yeah. And you can make the most craziest things in the world. Less is more sometimes.
Cool. Do you make your own records?
My own tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's 2 types of tracks. Before I was a beatboxer, I was always a singer-songwriter. So I write a lot of songs. I've never had the time to like actually produce it like a radio track because I never really learned how to produce music. I'm learning now, which is pretty dope. In terms of beatboxing, I try to make every track I make an original. So I write all the lyrics. I try my best to make sure the melodies are either original or sometimes once in a while I take inspiration from from artists that I look up to, like Michael Jackson, etc., etc. But when it comes to competitions like this, it's good to engage with the crowd. So once in a while, it's good to do a cover so everybody can sing along or like a melody that they know.
Yeah.
So I always do original stuff, but when it comes to performances, always good to put in a song that everybody knows, because why not?
Of course.
Yeah.
That's just something I've really noticed in common with all of the beatboxers that I've encountered so far, is they're really keen on unifying everyone, unifying with other beatboxers and with fans and everything like that. So doing a cover, like a beatbox cover of something, is just a really amazing way to do that, because it also makes beatbox closer to sort of mainstream music, so it could get beatbox bigger in that way as well.
Hopefully you will get there one day. 'Cause that's the dream.
Yeah. What's easier, singing or beatboxing?
Okay, it's different for everyone, but I would say for me, it would be singing would be easier. The reason behind that is because I didn't work hard for it. Like I just woke up one day and I could sing.
Yeah.
Right. I think it was like a God-given gift.
Yeah.
You know, I watched a lot of Michael Jackson as a kid, and I tried to imitate his voice and like, gonna make a change for once in my life. It's very bad now because I just hit puberty. But
Just now?
No, not just. My bad. But like, I used to be able to do it so well, and I have this thing where I like to mimic accents. So like James Arthur. Back then when I was singing, I always sounded exactly like James Arthur.
Really?
Which is not a good thing for an artist pathway. So singing came naturally because I could copy people's styles just like that. I don't know how, and I could implement certain things into my singing. But beatboxing is different, you know. Like I had to like really work hard and brain myself. Like you can learn everything from YouTube, like everything on YouTube. And then when you get to a certain level, you find out that the higher level stuff, nobody's teaching it.
Right.
And if there are people teaching it, it's the world class beatboxers, and you gotta pay to acquire that knowledge, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? So I didn't have anyone, and when I started beatboxing, I was the only beatboxer in my state. I'm still the only beatboxer in my state. So I didn't have anyone to teach me. So I had to learn everything by myself. So that was the hard part. Like sounds that took beatboxers, sounds that were easy for beatboxers to learn, it was difficult for me.
Okay.
Like the first sound, kick drum, beatboxers could learn that in like seconds, minutes, maybe a day or two. It took me 2 weeks because no matter what I did, instead of doing, I kept on doing, right? And
That's still cute though.
Yeah, even like this. The most you would take for that sound is like a few months, but it took me 2 years to learn that sound.
Wow.
Yeah, every beatboxer there. How long did it take you to learn the invocation snare? A few weeks, few months. Or six. How long did it take you? 2 years. You know. So for me, beatboxing was like way harder. It still is harder.
Yeah. Do you think that something that every beatboxer has in common is a good ear, a good musical ear? Like the ability to mimic sounds, is that an essential requirement to be a good beatboxer, do you think?
I think it depends on the pathway you want to go on.
Yeah.
Like the two most common ones is competitive beatboxing
Yeah.
and artistic beatboxing. So like
Okay.
if you're going into like real battling and stuff, you don't really. I would say you don't really need to understand music that much. You just need to have like the most craziest patterns, maybe some stage presence, crowd control,
Yeah.
and if all your sounds are clean, you can just go up there like, you know, do
Yeah.
some crazy stuff, and you win. But if you want to go on that artistic path where you want your music to be able to be, how do I say this? Like it's easy for people to relate to it, or like for certain people to like break it down in their own musical way, right? Because music can like be broke down in many different ways depending on how you see it. Some people look at the bass behind, some people look at the underlick and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to go on that artistic track, I think like acquiring at least some basic knowledge in like music is very important. But if you just want to go into battling, just like do the craziest combos ever, do the craziest sounds, like be really powerful, don't be more powerful.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. It's nice that there's multiple avenues that you can go down though, because maybe there are beatboxers that just are more interested in the showcase and the actual technical skill, and they still have a path such as the people that are more artistic and musical about it. So
I agree. Yeah.
That's nice. Oh, okay. I don't know why I wrote this question. What part of your body is the most important to you in your life?
I would say the throat, very important.
Yeah,
and
it's
also,
all in there.
And also lungs. Lung capacity, very important.
Yeah.
Even for singing, right?
That's true. It's
Right,
fact
like
zone.
a lot of people don't think it's important. You know, that's why there was a point in time where I was like smoking. Now I don't smoke anymore because you take one puff and suddenly you can't hold your note as long as you used
That's
to
it.
be able to do. Right?
Yeah.
It's like don't smoke, all right? But
That's
like lungs and throat. Because most of my sounds, my beatboxing style is based on vocal sounds.
Right. So you need your vocal
I need the perfect throat, like good
Yeah.
vocal cords. I need
Yeah.
a healthy lung, right? So yeah, throat, lung.
Nice. That's the money makers.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to people that want to start? Like me.
If you want to start, I would say like don't do what I did. Like
You did okay though, so whatever you did.
Oh, I could have done better.
Okay.
Like when I actually started way back in 2012. So I could have had 10 years of beatbox experience, but unfortunately I only have 6. And the reason why is because I learned beatboxing because I thought it was going to make me look cool.
Okay.
And back then beatboxing was not as like advanced as it is now. Back then there was only drums, some oscillation sounds like and throat bass. Ow, ow. And I practiced for like 3 weeks or something, like close to a month. I got the drums. I was like, okay. I couldn't do, but I could do some other snares. And I got the throat bass and I couldn't do it. And I quit after that.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it really put you off the fact that you couldn't get the throat
I was like, oh, I can't do throat bass. I'm not gonna be a dope beatboxer. So I quit, which is so weird because like I wish I knew this when I was younger. Because like if you can't do throat bass, it's fine. There are other variations of sounds.
Yeah.
Right. Like even poly, the one I do. If you can't do my poly, it's perfectly fine. There's literally, I kid you not, there's hundreds of other different poly techniques out there.
Okay.
Like,
Hundreds?
Hundreds. Like when I went to Poland, I met so many talented people who could do different types of poly that I could only dream of doing.
Really?
Yeah, it's like so mental. Like you would think I'm the best, and then you listen to that girl, you listen to that guy, and you're like, they're all the best because like everyone is so different. Even for like throat bass, I can't do it until today, but I at least found how to do ow ow. And
Yeah, so you can cover that frequency.
Yeah, and if you still can't do like a vocal type of bass, there's other types of bass. Right?
Yeah.
There's always something. I think that's the dope thing about beatboxing is that there's always something to help you get to where you want to get to. So rule number 1, don't be too hard on yourself. If you can't learn something, that's perfectly fine. there are world-class beatboxers all around the world who can't do basic sounds. Like this sound is the most mainstream sound in the game. And there are world-class beatboxers who can't do it. And they're still so good. So don't be too hard on yourself. And speaking of don't be too hard on yourself, there are some sounds that you're going to learn so easily. And there are some sounds that it's going to take you years to learn.
Yeah.
Take your time. I've taught people how to do the polyphonic voice for years. There are some people who are like, like this in seconds. And there are some people who can't do it. And after a few months of years, then they got it.
Okay.
Right? You gotta be really, really patient. That's one. And two, I think the most important thing is like to have fun. Like when you first start beatboxing, you shouldn't care so much about like looking cool or trying to find your own artistic style. Like try everything. Even the things that you think you might not like, try it. I think that's a very important thing to do. Like we have this bass called snore bass, and the reason why you call it snore bass is because you're literally just snoring.
Okay. Oh.
And you can make like bass frequencies with it. Right? And when I first started beatboxing, I listened to people do that sound, and I was like, oh,
why would you want?
that's like disgusting. And then one day I was like so bored. I was in my room and I was like, whoa! And I tried it and I liked it, right? Because here's the thing: if there are sounds that you think you would like and you try it, and then you realize you don't like it, there's a very high chance it works vice versa as well.
Yeah.
So try everything. Don't just try the things that you think look cool. I mean, obviously do that, but try everything else because, like, it will open up so many doors. Like one sound has so many different varieties, and then if there's not enough varieties, guess what? You can make your own in time, right? So try everything. Try everything. Have fun. Don't be too hard on yourself. The most important thing is that, like, you can do the most basic thing ever. There's this quote by Reeves One, a very famous beatboxer. I think we've talked about him before. One thing he said, like, 7 years ago, and this was back when everybody was so terrible at beatboxing, right? And probably the most important quote in beatboxing. He said he was walking down the street and he was just doing basic stuff. And he realized, oh, I'm bobbing to this. I'm having fun.
It's musical, yeah.
I love you. Like the most important thing about beatboxing is if you're happy doing it, it doesn't matter if you don't have the sounds that everybody else has. It doesn't matter if you can't do the craziest technique. If you're happy doing it, that's what you gotta do. So do everything, and then once you've done everything, start looking at what you want to do. Right? Then you can slowly do it. When you first start, just have fun. And YouTube is the best answer. You want to learn how to do bass? Just type beatbox, bass tutorial. Everything comes out.
Wow.
Beatbox, how to beatbox. The tutorials come out. Everything is on YouTube. I wish we had that back in my time.
Yeah, I bet.
But now, even the youngsters now, there are 8-year-old kids who are so good.
It's going to get scary, isn't it?
So scary. One day, the under 18 category is going to be better than the adult category.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally. So have fun, explore everything. Don't leave a single cent out. Then once it's done, then you decide where you want to go. But when you first start, just do everything.
Try everything. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Anytime.
Thank you. Good luck for your performance tonight.
Thank
Not
you so
that you
much.
were going to need it.
We'll see.
Thank you.
Oh yeah.